Hi, all. Welcome to the Inspiring Journeys, episode 4 by Miyara Health. Today we have Shwetha Shrivatsa from Chicago with us. Hi, Shwetha.
Hi, Gayatri.
So, a little bit about Shwetha. She moved from the corporate world to entrepreneurship recently and is the founder of Symphony Foods. Interestingly, part of this career change is attributed to a health journey she has been through. Let us hear a little more about it. So, Shwetha, can you tell us a little bit about what health troubles you had? How did it start, and what happened later on?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And thank you for this opportunity to share my story and raise
Thanks.
awareness. Um, so, I was a fairly healthy individual, just had a history of enlarged tonsils, which made me more susceptible to sore throats and sinus infections, etc. It was a time in my life when I had a 1 year old, 5 year old, wanted to climb up in my career and was looking for that next big opportunity. So, a perfect storm in a teacup situation, if you will. And as much as I love the Chicago area, it doesn't really help with the brutal winters. So, it was truly. A stressful situation, not helped by crazy weather and temperature changes, etc. So this was the winter of 2017, and
Mm-hmm.
between Feb and the end of April, over that 3 month window, I experienced a lot of tonsillitis, strep throat, sinus infection, and I kept having repeated instances of that, and for kept going to the PCP, or the primary care physician,
Mm-hmm.
or urgent care, all within the same health network, but
Okay.
nevertheless different individuals.
Okay.
And each individual treated it with a siloed mindset, and it was to provide symptomatic relief.
Okay.
But which now that I think back, my expectation of what a doctor would do was very tied to my upbringing in India, where it was, oh, the doctor can provide a cure, a complete cure, and they have
Yeah.
this magic wand, and with medication they just cure me. But I mean, now, having gone through my journey, I know it's more of providing symptomatic relief, which is what they did, but it was a very siloed approach. And as a result, over roughly a 90, 100-day window, I was on antibiotics for more than 50 days.
Wow.
And early May, I mean, late April, early May timeframe, I started to notice these lesions or rashes, like
Yeah.
chickenpox rashes, on my legs and my arms. And initially, I thought, oh, it must be some kind of weather related thing, and didn't really think much about it. But then within a couple of days, I started having, I couldn't walk. There was swellings on
Mm-hmm.
my arms and legs. And that's when I went to one of the doctors in the physician's office, and she
Okay.
diagnosed it as folliculitis.
Okay.
And again, never heard of that term. It just is the hair follicles on the arms and legs being infected. And I'm like,
Okay.
oh, okay. And, gave me more antibiotics. And as a result, 3 days later, my entire knee swelled up, and I had no idea, and ran back to the doctor, who ordered like an immediate ultrasound, wanted to rule out deep vein thrombosis. Again, a
Okay.
fancy name. And then luckily, the ultrasound came back as negative for
Okay.
DVT. And when I went back to the doctor, she was like, I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe you should go see a dermatologist. And then
Okay.
sent me to a dermatologist who saw me right away. So as soon as I walked in, and again, in the US, to see a specialist within an hour's notice is like unless it's like a dire situation, it's really very rare to have that
Yeah.
happen. So I walked into the doctor's office and one look at me and she said, "Oh, you have LCV." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" She's like, "It's leukocytoclastic vasculitis." So again, some fancy word and alphabet soup, but what vasculitis essentially is inflammation of the blood vessels, and there are
Okay.
three types. So it could be a large blood vessel, which is life threatening, a medium blood vessel, which is also very serious, and small blood vessels like that feed the skin and the tissue beneath the skin. So that was what had become inflamed,
Okay.
and it had burst, it hemorrhaged, and that was what the blood what I was seeing as lesions. So
Okay.
sounds like a Halloween story, but that was simply what was happening. And
Okay.
he looked at it and said, "This typically happens because of an allergic reaction." So
Okay.
some kind of an allergic reaction to your immune system has become hypersensitive, overactive, and
Okay.
it's kind of attacking itself, and
Okay.
that's what's what the issue is. And let me and it's typically it could be I mean, the reasons are unknown like everything else, but it could most likely in your case be because of some kind of allergic reaction, and I'm going to do a biopsy to kind of confirm my diagnosis. So she
Okay.
did a biopsy, and in the meanwhile asked me, what medications I was on. And because and at that point I told her that I was on 2000 mg of amoxicillin, and then I was
Wow.
taking yeah, like it's crazy. And then I was also taking vitamin D because my vitamin D levels were low, so I was on a prescription strength vitamin D. So
Okay.
uh, and then she said, let's we don't know what the cause could be, but it's most likely some kind of medication, and let's stop everything. And then she put me on immunosuppressants or
Okay.
corticosteroids. So
Yeah.
on a very very large strength dosage, and kind of came up with a game plan. So at this point,
Okay.
3.5 months into this craziness, I had lost faith in in doctors and in medical. I mean, in everything. I was just grappling, and I didn't know what was
Yeah.
happening. But where she kind of earned my trust, or started to earn my trust with the first meeting, was to tell me, give me a diagnosis, tell me how she's going to confirm it, and then told me what could be like. It was a very systematic, logical approach.
Makes sense.
So and then I had already gone through kind of seen what doctors how they go through, they go through the process of elimination. So as a
Yeah.
scientist, you're aware, and
Yeah.
as a engineer and as a problem solver, I know that's how we would approach. So
Yeah.
that sounded familiar to me. And she also said, let's see you every week. Let's try this, and
Okay.
kind of set me on a plan. So it was almost like a holistic approach, which I was
Okay.
missing before.
Mm-hmm.
And so this whole treatment plan kind of started off with removal of all the medications. Then
Very important.
yes, and with the biopsy confirming a couple of days later that it was leukocytoclastic vasculitis.
Okay.
And then that kind of said, okay, and by which time I had read enough about it online. And her wanting to meet with me on a regular basis. This also, I also want to kind of share with your audience that at this time, since coming from India and having family and friends who are doctors, I had the ability to consult with a rheumatologist. So in India, this is this is typically what a rheumatologist would treat, any
Okay.
kind of vasculitis, the umbrella. And
Okay.
there, again, it's just their standard course, standard operating procedure would be like, oh, you need to be on immunosuppressants, but that is they looked at it more as a chronic approach, which
Okay.
was, oh, and then you have to be weaned off, and then you have to probably have like, again, I don't recall the exact medication, but it's the equivalent of the chemo in a pill.
Okay.
And all of this sounded really dire to me. And
Yeah.
they recommended I do a battery of tests to confirm that it's only the small cell and I don't have medium or large cells. So,
Yeah.
again, process of elimination. But through all of this, it was very scary, but I was blessed to have the right dermatologist who kind of said, stick with me. There's nothing, it's not, the blood work and all the tests confirm it's not the large and the medium, which is
Okay.
great. And it is going to take time. It's like,
Okay.
it's not going to disappear overnight. It's going to be a
Yeah.
slow process. And of course, having a strong network of family support and friends support, and faith and whatever, I think it was all about eliminating not just the toxins, which were physical, but also the mental toxins and the
Yeah.
stress and all of it. So I was on medical leave from work for about 8 weeks.
Okay.
And so it was a slow journey after the immunosuppressants slash corticosteroids for almost 2 months. And it was a very monitored approach. I was
Okay.
put on some anti-inflammatory medication for another 4 5 months, then another dose of steroids.
Wow.
Yes, steroids have its own set of
Yeah.
issues, and I think, but at that point, that was the better of the options available, and it was
Yeah.
like choosing between the devil and the deep sea. So it was the right approach.
Hmm.
But I think to fully recover from the physical and the mental aspects, it was
Yeah.
a multiple year journey, if you will.
Yeah. So you were saying that you also had to go through the mental health journey in the process as well as the physical because stress was a part of it. Is that something you felt, or was it something also the doctor said that the stress could have been part of it?
Yes, so I think that's a great question. So I did ask the doctor with a lot of
Okay.
doctor Googling. I found out that it was stress. Stress is a
Okay.
big factor. And my dermatologist confirmed that and said that stress alone by itself does not cause the thing, but it's a huge catalyst that just makes
Uh,
everything worse,
okay.
including the healing. So depending on like the immune system needed a huge it did not happen overnight. It
Yeah.
was a build up. So
Okay.
yes, I think mental healing and like relying I really relied on my network of
Yeah.
family, friends, and my
Okay.
kids were wonderful to encourage me to kind of want to come out of this.
Yeah.
So yes, stress
Yeah.
is key.
And and about work also, you could. It was good that you could take time off. It was you were allowed because the doctor
Yes,
recommended.
because yes, the doctor had to
Okay.
certify that I was not in any condition to
Yeah.
yes, to perform in my job. So I was on short-term disability.
Okay. And after that, so you went back to work, but it took you a year to sort of get over the health problem issues.
Yes, so the lesions, I might have had like over 1,000 rashes every day at the height of it.
Okay.
But like, or at one point, like suddenly wherever the blood vessels burst,
Hmm.
there would be this dump of rashes. And in that in that area, and it was very painful. It was itchy. It was I couldn't even walk. So uh, like, Gayatri, I before I had kids, I did a couple of triathlons, so I'm
Yeah.
not really couch potato. But at that point it was so bad.
Yeah.
My husband had to wheel me in an office chair from the bedroom to the bathroom, and the
Mm.
two steps from the door to the bathroom were like excruciatingly painful. But that's it kind of debilitated my hands and my limbs basically.
Yeah.
And so it was painful. It was tough for
Okay.
someone in their late 30s to be in this condition where they cannot even take two
Yeah.
steps, and then you have young kids at home, and
Yeah.
you're out of work. You have just, I mean, but I did have a lot of time to think because I couldn't move. And that's when pause, it kind of makes you question what's important, what's like, puts things in perspective.
Perspective.
So yes, I did have the time to realize that I must acknowledge there are roses and stop to smell. And I'm still on that journey. Hopefully one day I can actually smell and enjoy the roses.
Yes. Yes, that would be great. So, yeah, I mean, this is the health journey. You recovered 1 year after completely. Everything came back to normal after one.
um Normal is a questionable word, but I
Yeah.
think I was cured of those symptoms.
Okay.
But again, like everything else, there are side effects, and which are
Mm.
unknown at that point. So stomach issues, the GI issues, because of overall exposure to so much antibiotics. I'm sure I had no gut bacteria, none of the good
Ooh.
stuff left, and that resulted in like really bad stomach issues, and
Okay.
which are even lingering now, 4 years
Mm.
later. But then again, I think that's an even slower recovery.
Yeah.
There was because for me, the vasculitis, the LCV was so bad that it was not just there was some tissue damage, and the
Okay.
tissue had gotten infected, again just at the top level. But just it took almost 6 months with you to try to get that or get back. And then
Okay.
there was, with the steroids, there's so many
Side.
weight issues where you lose weight, you gain weight, and that has implications for the menstrual health. So overall, I think it's a longer road to recovery, with
Okay.
all these side effects.
Yeah.
And then of course the mental is a huge, huge, huge aspect. So
Yes.
I'm still probably taking baby steps in that
That
journey.
journey. Okay. Now, thinking back, what do you think would have eased your problems? What you would have avoided, or what could you have been done better? And also in the context you were talking about in terms of interaction with doctors,
Right, right, right,
both
right.
cases.
Yeah, no, I think that's again a great question. And when I had those 8 weeks, I was thinking, why me? What could I have done differently? I think one is just awareness that, okay, I should have known that I have enlarged tonsils. I live in a cold place, which means I have low vitamin D. And, those are the root causes. And what can I do long term to take care of that, instead of symptomatically oh, let me just pop these antibiotics and I should be fine. But I think the awareness is one. And
Okay.
then the mindset that the doctor is a magician who can provide this cure. I think that's another misconception. So it's like, the doctors, they're amazing. I want to applaud that community, especially in this pandemic. But they are subject, I would view them as subject matter experts.
Hmm.
And I went to, sometimes by choice and sometimes because that's the way the system is set up, I saw multiple people who
Okay.
did not stop to ask me about what I had done medically last week, whether I had taken medication. So again, I think be proactive about it and said, oh, I already took 10 days of antibiotics and that has not helped. What can we
Yeah.
do differently? So I think, owning awareness, owning my health, and
Yes.
being proactive, and kind of understanding that, depending on which part of the world, there are different limitations to the medical system, but
Yes.
understanding the system and owning it and being proactive, those would be the things I would do differently today.
Yeah. So in the context of you being the health manager, as opposed to
Absolutely.
assuming the health system is going to take care of you, you are
Yes, you're
basically
owning
responsible.
it. Yes, I think that's very nicely put, that I
Yeah.
would own, it would be like a project manager
Yeah.
who knows what is happening there, happening here, like own everything, and then kind of being aware, and
Yeah.
I think what your health platform, what you guys are set out, is again helping people gain that awareness, helping people document that,
Yeah.
having access and knowledge and documentation. So have a very scientific approach, and I think your platform is solving for that.
Yes.
So I applaud you guys.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. And lastly, do you have any advice for others?
Yes, I mean, like free advice, I'm happy to share. But no, I think I've already said that, and you also kind of mentioned that, own it, be aware, and take charge, be proactive would be whatever it is, and something as simple as enlarged tonsils could put you in a situation of vasculitis, which is like so crazy, but
Yeah.
anything can, the lack of awareness and managing it can lead to any kind of crazy rabbit holes.
Yeah.
And then also a message to moms, like, as having gone through this, I don't want anybody, and especially my kids, to ever go through this. So what I want to attribute is, like, yes, manage your health, and a lot of women might end up managing their family's health as well, but
Yeah.
also kind of teach your kids or your family members about owning their health,
Yeah.
and let that be a life lesson or a skill set. That
Yeah.
would be my
True.
big takeaway.
Thanks. I mean, that's a very important takeaway, and thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
Uh, Great. Thanks a lot. I think this is all I had for you. And
Okay.
thanks for taking time for and talking to us about this journey. It has been great listening to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. And you guys are doing awesome. So I think, it's going to help a lot of people manage their health.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.